Welcome to this San Diego 350 Tech Training. Today we're going to talk about Google Groups, we're going to talk about accessing your calendar, and more. Let's dive in. So we're going to start with how to switch between Google products. So you're going to go to your home page, google.com, you're going to press the Google Apps, and then you're going to be able to access all of the things that you need to access. So for example, calendar is here. You can see that Google Groups are down here, and we'll talk about that in a second, and more. And you can also edit your favorites area and add and subtract things that you want to be put up here, like that. Now we're going to talk about Google Calendar. First, we're going to add San Diego 350's calendar to your calendar. Okay. Go to sandiego350.org, then scroll all the way to the bottom. And then you're going to click on this page called Member Resources. Now this page is password protected, and the password is 350 ppm. You guys should know what that is. And now you can click this link and add this calendar to your Google Calendar, like so. It already exists for me because I've already added it. This member resource page has a ton of other very fun resources, so I recommend you check it out. Access your calendars by going to your Google Apps and then clicking on Calendar, like so. You can also just type in calendar.google.com, or even just Google Calendar and it'll pop up. You can easily turn on and off different calendars by going on the left menu and toggling things on and off like this. To add an event, you can start with two things. First, you can click Create and then go from there. Or, and this is what we're going to talk about right now, is you can go directly to the time that you want to create the event for. So let's say 8 a.m. and click there. Then you can add a title of event. You can change the time. You can also make this repeat. So for example, if I want to have something repeat every 2 weeks on a Tuesday, this is how I would do that. You can add guests here. When you want to add a guest, you can change what they're allowed to do to the event. So for example, I could add someone and they could be able to modify the event. So they could add a description and add maybe a meeting notes doc, or I could make it so they can invite others and see the guest list. Maybe I want it to be so they can't see who else is invited, and I could get rid of all these guest permissions. You can add conferencing or your location. You can add a description. You can create meeting notes. You can add your own meeting notes, like so. Now we're going to talk about Google Groups and email etiquette. So what are Google Groups and why do we use them? Google Groups are mailing lists that you can use to collect and easily contact whoever is in your group, and really this is for your team. We use them to capture small groups without needing separate spreadsheets, which are very helpful because spreadsheets can easily get lost. They're also very helpful to mask the emails of everyone you're contacting. We'll talk about what that looks like in a moment. Plus, you don't actually need a Gmail account to use them, although it does help you when you're finding and editing your status or the group you are managing. We recommend when you start a group like this, of course, you have a San Diego 350 group email. And we use them primarily for teams, but also for working groups that need a continuously updating mailing list. This is also used to set permissions for drives and folders and docs. It's used to set calendar invites and to communicate in general. To find your Google Groups, you'll go to this little dot grid over here, and then you will scroll down until you find Groups. You'll click there, and then you can see all the groups that you're a part of. So let's take a look at one. when you look right here, you can see what you're subscribed to. So you can adjust the amount of emails you actually get. A digest email combines up to 25 complete messages into one email. So, for example, if there's a thread that's going on and you're getting a bunch of pings because people are replying, this will put it all together and only send you one email. An abridged is like a daily summary of the emails, so it'll only share the subject lines. And then you can also say, I don't want to get any emails from this mailing list, but maybe I'd still like to actually see the mailing list, the emails. So then what you do is you click into your Google group. First thing you'll see is the conversations. So for example, I can click here and see, oh, okay, there was this email that was sent, and this is the email that was sent. So then you don't have to actually get the email, you can just go here and see them on your own. You can also, depending on your settings, see the people who are in the Google group. If you go to group settings, and especially as an owner or manager of a Google group, if you're a team leader, this is really helpful to know. So you'll see you have the group name, you have the email, the description. Let's talk about the permissions here. Who can see the group? This should always be either organization members or group members. Who can join the group? Only invited users. That's really important. You always want to make sure that you're allowing external members. An external member is someone who has any email account that does not end in sandiego350.org. Internal is sandiego350.org emails. You can also change who can view conversations. This should always be group members, I would recommend. Who can post. Sometimes you'd rather make it so that emails are only coming from maybe yourself, so you can change that permission here. Same with viewing members. Maybe you'd rather make sure that only people who are managers or owners of the group can actually see who's in the group and see their emails. And then, of course, member privacy. So everyone should be able to contact group owners, but maybe you'd prefer that people can't see all the member email addresses, and you can change that here. I think for most teams, you might want people to be able to see each other's email addresses so that they can contact each other if they have specific questions, but that's up to you. And I can help, or Masada can help with determining where that should be. These are similar things. I would not change these default settings. Let's talk about norms. San Diego 350 has norms and shared values. We believe in treating everyone with respect, assuming people are coming with good intentions, and we don't dismiss or criticize. We ask kind of, why am I talking? Do I need to respond to this email? That's a good question there. We also make sure that we're stepping up and stepping back, making sure that if someone else hasn't had a chance to respond, we're giving them that space. And of course, we do not tolerate any form of oppressive behavior, in particular, any sexism, racism, anti-blackness, classism, homophobia, transphobia, ageism, or ableism. Okay. The first and most important thing when you're talking about etiquette is, email etiquette in particular, is post only about activities, events, and topics related to SD350 initiatives. Stay on topic. Of course, you also want to make sure to be short and to the point. You want to try and minimize the amount of emails you send, respect everyone's time. So if you can, consolidate your ideas and post fewer rather than more emails. So example, if you're going to say thank you to someone, send it just to that person rather than to the entire group. And of course, also check to see if an email expressing your point has already been sent. You don't want to duplicate. Be clear and brief about any asks and timeframes that you're mentioning. Always use a descriptive subject line. So for emails where an action is required, add something like action required or comments needed. Maybe include a deadline. And always start a new email thread with a new subject line if the email thread has kind of digressed to a different topic. Finally, don't mix Google group email addresses and individual email addresses in the recipient list. Confidentiality. This is a really important thing. There's 3 main rules. Internal things stay internal, so never forward an internal team email out unless it's intended for the public or you've got permission. Be careful to protect our allies. We want to keep things shared by our allies, our partners, confidential unless they're explicitly telling us we're allowed to share. Also remember that emails aren't safe, and people do want to hurt us and our allies, so we want to be careful. Finally, respect individuals. Of course, no personal attacks on any other members, and respect their opinions, even if you disagree. I also want to add on here, don't share documents, attachments that have been shared, again, unless you're told you can. But you can share social media, you can share newsletter emails, public resources, and always ask if you're not sure. Thank you. For questions, direct them to me, and of course, if you want more resources, go to this member resources page. The password is 350 ppm. All right, see you in the next one.